In April 1999, Columbine High School was exactly the kind of place parents moved to for safety and quiet. Cassie Bernal was a complex 17-year-old. She had dabbled in the occult, writing letters detailing violent thoughts toward her family. Her parents, Brad and Misty, intervened with strict boundaries, transferring her to a new school and cutting off negative influences. The intervention worked. Cassie underwent a profound personal recovery, embracing her faith and becoming a fixture in her local church youth group, a shift symbolized by the WWJD bracelets popular among Christian teens of the era. On April 20th, that quiet suburban reality shattered. Inside the school library, the environment quickly dissolved into utter chaos. Thick smoke from explosives filled the room, as deafening fire alarms blared incessantly, and traumatized teenagers hid under tables with no clear view of the violence unfolding around them. When people endure that level of incomprehensible terror and sudden loss, the human mind struggles to process the randomness. It desperately searches for an anchor, a narrative framework to make the senseless violence mean something. In the immediate aftermath, a specific story emerged from the surviving students. A rumor circulated that one of the shooters had cornered a girl in the library, asked if she believed in God, and when she answered yes, he killed her. That unverified account rapidly breached the police perimeter. Within hours, national news networks broadcasting live from satellite trucks parked outside the school had beamed the story into millions of living rooms. The evangelical community embraced the account instantly. They identified the girl as Cassie Bernal, elevating her tragic death into a story of modern Christian martyrdom. A narrative like this provided a heroic architecture for a grieving public. It offered a protective barrier against the nihilistic reality of the massacre, turning a random act of murder into a deliberate stand for faith. The "she said yes" story exploded into a cultural phenomenon. Misty Bernal's memoir detailing Cassie's life sold over 1 million copies, and youth ministries across the country organized rallies to honor her devotion. Prominent Christian musicians amplified the myth to a global audience. Pop star Michael W. Smith recorded "This Is Your Time" in Cassie's honor, cementing the narrative in pop culture. This chart shows the religious affiliation of 18 to 35-year-olds over several decades. Notice the distinct upward spike in Christian affiliation right around 1999, a quantifiable demographic shift fueled in part by the post-Columbine martyrdom narratives. But while the public embraced the symbol, police investigators were meticulously mapping the crime scene. As they cross-referenced exhaustive interviews with the library survivors, they began to notice severe discrepancies in the timeline. The investigators recognized a psychological phenomenon known as sensory distortion. In a highly traumatic situation flooded with loud noises and lethal threats, human memory sequencing and spatial recall become severely impaired. By the time forensic science could objectively map out the timeline, the 24-hour news cycle had already outpaced the facts. The myth was fully cemented long before the official reports were finished. Police layered testimonies to map the library, revealing Emily Wyant. Hiding beneath the same table as Cassie, she had an unobstructed view. Her FBI testimony detailed a brief interaction. The killer approached, slapped the table, said "peekaboo," and fired. No theological dialogue occurred. The forensic evidence proved the martyrdom exchange never happened with Cassie. Hard facts were now on a direct collision course with a deeply held cultural myth. The exchange about God actually did happen, but with a different student. Valine Schnurr was hiding in another part of the library. She had already been shot multiple times and was openly praying aloud in fear. Hearing her, one of the shooters walked over and asked if she believed in God. Valine answered yes. He asked her why. She replied that it was how she was raised, and then he simply walked away, leaving her alive. In the sensory void of a smoke-filled room, traumatized survivors heard Valine's loud confession of faith and conflated it with the visual horror of Cassie's death, merging two separate realities into one single powerful rumor. When the police released their findings, the backlash was fierce. Many in the public and the evangelical community actively rejected the forensic truth, insisting that the official investigators had gotten it wrong. For millions of people, the idea of Cassie's martyrdom had already become a foundational pillar of their own personal faith. Correcting the historical record felt like a direct attack on their core beliefs. The media created a flattened, flawless symbol out of a tragedy, But that caricature ignores the genuine reality of Cassie's life. She was a young woman who had actively fought to overcome severe depression and violent personal demons, and she was succeeding. The persistent belief in her martyrdom is a textbook example of collective coping, the human necessity to use simplified, symbolic narratives to process events that are otherwise unbearably chaotic and random. Cassie Bernal's true legacy shouldn't be defined by a fictionalized final exchange that she never had. Instead, it is found in the very real, difficult, and triumphant life she chose to build in the years before that day.